So, hi, good morning, good evening, and welcome, friends, to this Purple Wallet podcast. So, this is a podcast which I host guests, and the idea of this podcast is to, try and help people find purpose, passion, and profit from their work. And of course, sooner or later they should find some financial freedom through some skill mastery. So, but today's guest is a very interesting guest, and I'll talk about him a little bit. And the best part about today's guest is he wants to be called throughout this session with his pseudonym or his nickname, and his nickname is Trix, and he's from the armed forces. So basically, it is Group Captain Trix, but I'm going to be referring to him as Trix. So a little bit of an introduction. So Trix has a very adventurous life, and through the course of this conversation, we will know more about it. From flying a MiG at Mach speeds to going to the dense glaciers of the Siachen at minus 20, 30 degrees centigrade, and then living life on the edge through his motorcycling stints. So you will hear this, you will hear our guest today, speak about these extreme adventures and, qualifying into combat flying, having hundreds and thousands of hours of flying behind him. So Trix is as extreme as a person and as extreme as an officer during his days when he was serving the nation. With more to welcome and more to hear from him, I would like to welcome Group Captain Trix to this podcast. Welcome, Trix, to this podcast.
Thank you so much.
So yes, in my introduction I spoke a lot, but I want to start with a very very basic question, and to a lot of the viewers. So Trix and I were classmates in school. So a very very basic question: when you were in school, we thought you'll become a priest. From thinking of becoming a priest to such an adventurous life, how did it all evolve?
So there is a little bit of philosophizing in my life. As you can make out, I wanted to become a priest.
Okay, yeah.
So
What's the philosophy? Yeah.
human being is like hardware,
Okay.
is like computer hardware,
Okay.
and life is like the software. So the hardware can be anything, but life
Okay.
throws software at you. You
Super.
run whatever app life throws at you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
But
how it goes. So in school, I wanted to become a priest, like you said. So I was in the business of saving lives. Then I chose
true.
a profession which was taking lives, to be a soldier.
Wow.
So I
Yes.
trained at NDA, and ultimately I joined the Indian Air Force. And that too, I became a fighter pilot, like fighter
Mm.
plane, take lives.
Yeah.
Then, because of a medical condition, I had to change over to helicopters. So
Okay.
I had to come back to saving lives.
True.
And after I finished my helicopter flying, I changed over to surface to air missiles. So I was back into the business of taking lives. Now I was shooting down aeroplanes. So that is what I mean by life throws whatever software at you. Your hardware has to be ready all the time so that you can take on whatever life throws at you.
That's a great philosophy to start with, Tricks. But somewhere, I think, was it always there in the, in your soul or in the back of your mind that saving lives in whatever form, either theoretically or philosophically, did that saving life theme always resonate throughout your career also?
Yes, I believe it resonates with everybody, even when you are even when you are involved with the task of taking lives, like say for example shooting down another aircraft. You have to be careful of friendly fire. You should guard against fratricide. So you have to protect
Yeah.
your wingman. You have to protect
Okay.
your buddy. You have to protect your own friendly forces and engage the enemy. So yes, saving lives is an eternal part of whatever
But isn't
I
it
do.
contradiction? Isn't it a contradiction, Tricks, that you are going out to fly and you have missiles and guns at your disposal? I mean, at least in Bollywood movies, what we see, oh, I shoot and I killed, or I shoot the tent. I mean, it's always like go and kill as many as you can. So wouldn't I mean, is that the armor you wear when you sit in the cockpit of a flight plane?
Yes, if you, it's the favorite question of beauty pageants and all. What would you do? Do you want to do? So I used to fight for world peace.
You used to fight for world peace. Yeah, yeah, good one, good one. I don't know if the listeners have understood. So, yeah, your fighting is a literal sense of the word, and because you are fighting and safeguarding us, there's peace in the country, right? So that's a great one. Saving life, but Tricks, I always wondered that, like, when I drive, I like driving, I like biking, like driving more. So when I touch 100, I feel a thrill. But you have touched more than 1,000, 2,000 kilometers per hour. I mean, how does it feel for ordinary people? We can't think of that kind of speeds and behind the wheel of such kind of speed. So can you describe those feelings?
Yeah, true. It is a big thrill. I used to fly the MiG-21 FL. So the MiG-21 has one of the highest takeoff and landing speeds in the world.
Wow.
So more than exceeding 300 kmph. So that used to be an ultimate thrill. But there's a saying, it's applicable to flying or to driving. The fun in driving is up to 60 kilometers per hour. Thereafter, the thrill is in the aiming. You have to steer clear of dogs and other pedestrians and other motorcyclists, drivers.
Good one. Good one. Yeah, yeah, true. But it must be surreal, right? At 300 kilometers trying to land a machine. Precision is so critical, right? Describe a little more about those 300 kmph landing and takeoffs.
There is something called velocity, if you remember. It
Yes,
is
yes.
speed, it is a vector quantity. There is something called angular velocity. So it differs slightly in the sense the best example that I can give you is when you look out of the train window. When you see outside the train window and the train is going at a very fast speed, whatever is that distance appears to be moving by slowly. That means it has low radial velocity. But something that is closer by, say the signal tower, or say a nearby platform, or say a nearby static train, that will zoom by very fast. So that has high radial velocity. So that is what we experience at flying. So when you are at height, say in a normal flight, even in a airline, when you look down from height, the ground passes by very slowly. But
True.
when you're taking off, at that time you can feel the element of speed. Whereas closer to the ground, you'll be closer to 200 kmph. But
Hmm.
higher up in the air, you'll be closer to 800 kmph in the airline. But
Yeah.
you feel as if the ground is passing by slowly. So that is the radial velocity that we experience. So that is true while flying in the air also. Whenever you are close to the ground, whenever features such as hills, etc., come closer to your aircraft, that time it you get a sensation of speed. But when you are high up in the air, separated from the ground by a lot of height, then you do not feel the speed.
So now I know why physics was important in school. I remember velocity, the radial velocity and vector velocity. These are things I'm sure you would have learned. But again, coming back, I mean, so there is a lot of theory while the fun and the passion of flying is there. So that's one.
The fun is overriding. The fun is overriding.
It's very difficult to catch up with Tricks. People who are listening to him try to follow the puns, intended and non-intended, but great. I think every child who when you are a kid, we kind of dream, flying, and we do the zoom in the flights and all. But it has been a difficult journey to reach there, right? I know studying in a school where we both studied to actually coming out, getting commissioned as a fighter pilot. I mean, how did that journey get there? I mean, what made you choose the armed forces, which of course is a great choice?
At the philosophic level, like I said, hardware. You have to try and become the best hardware that is available. Then you can take on whatever roles that you pick up for yourself. So, like I used to tell you all, I wanted to become a priest. But down the line, when I got interested towards this vocation of joining the Indian Armed Forces. That was, I guess, because of two of our
Okay.
seniors getting selected to National
Okay.
Defense Academy. So maybe that may be the guiding force. But as I gave the exam and I cleared the exam, I suddenly got more interested
Mhm.
in the field. I took coaching from an
Okay.
ex-army man for cracking the service and
Okay.
selection board. So that persona, that personality, I just wanted to have that personality. I just wanted to
Wow.
become that person who was
Wow.
coaching us. So he made a huge impression on me. He sent me scurrying back to the library. He had me dig out the best of my mental faculties. So that is how I got selected for National
Mhm.
Defense Academy. And during National Defense Academy, the curriculum is slightly
Mhm.
expanded. I was by day I was studying for my BSc, Bachelor of Science degree, and in the classes we had course cross
Okay.
stream subjects. We used to study arts
Okay.
subjects also, for which we were not graded. I took geography, political science, and economics. Then for 3 semesters we had foreign language also. So I took Arabic as
Mm.
my foreign language, and we used to have a little bit of engineering drawing, a little bit of automotive engineering. So they basically wanted a jack of all trades, probably master of one.
So when did
So that is how the curriculum.
mastering part come after your graduation?
Yes, we finished our graduation, but we continued with our specific topics like aerodynamics and avionics,
Okay.
etc., which are specific to flying, which even civilian pilots
Okay.
do study. At the Air Force Academy, that was further refined, and we undertook flying training on piston trainer aircraft first, the jet trainer aircraft. We got
So this
commissioned.
training,
I got commissioned into fighter wing, so I went on to fly the MiG-20.
okay. I mean,
That's
just
the
for
route
the
that
benefit
basically.
of people who can want to consider this kind of a career. So does it require, I mean, you had a base in school, but you need a 11, 12th in science or commerce to get into NDA. Is there any necessity or recommendation?
So at NDA these days they have started B
Okay.
Tech degree or BSc computers, etc. So the civil aviation rules imply that you have to do a 10 plus 2 with physics, chemistry,
Okay.
and math.
So kind of a science stream to start with.
So yes. So some of my course mates, batchmates who had pursued arts or commerce at NDA, they had to again give the plus two science exam to open school
Okay.
before taking up civil flight.
And how difficult is it to crack the NDA exam? I mean, just for the, I mean, it's subjective, but generally, any views on that? Because many people would want to join the armed forces through an NDA, which I think is one of the best streams to get into it, right? So does it need some preparation or something beyond?
Yes, there are different methods of joining the armed forces. So the first stage is at 10 plus 2. After completing your 10 plus 2, you join the National Defense Academy, or there are other schemes like Technical Entry Scheme, TES they call it, for the Army. So while at NDA, we do our graduation from
Okay.
JNU. Army, I don't know where they do their technical entry, where do they do their BTech, etc. from. But at the end of it, they go to the IMA. The Army people go to the IMA. The NDA people, those who have opted for the Army, they go to the IMA, the Indian Military Academy,
Mhm.
which is at Dehradun. And the Air Force people go to the Air Force Academy, which is at
Okay.
Hyderabad. And the Navy people go to the Naval Academy at
Okay.
Goa. So there we train for
Okay.
1 year each. And at the end of that 1 year, we get commissioned into our
Wow.
respective.
Wow.
There is the second kind of people who enter after finishing their
Mhm.
graduation. They give the
Mm.
CDS exam or say an AFCAT exam. AFCAT is the Air Force Common Admission Test, etc. So they join up after we have completed NDA. So after NDA, I would have gone to the Air Force Academy. Those people would have
Directly.
come to join me
Okay.
at the Air Force Academy.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
directly. So they are called direct entry, and they spend 1.5 years of training because
Hmm.
then so we would much more than them. But yes, eventually we all fly the same training,
Okay.
flying training, and at the end of it, we all get commissioned.
When was the Thank you so much, Trix. This really helped people, and some of the links I'll probably put it down so that people can directly find out how to move in this career path. But after you finished, yeah, before I go to the next question, I mean, the training also people say is very rigorous. I heard of stories where people go halfway and complete and come, whether it is
Yes.
the NDA part. So you want to just, for the help of viewers, just mentally what framework they should carry to finish this course?
The timetable is mostly simple. After breakfast, classes start from 9 o'clock and continue till uh, 1:30 or so, and thereafter you have lunch. But that is the only structured
Okay.
time. which is spent on studies. Outside those timings, like from 6 o'clock to 8:30, would be something we call outdoor training. Outdoor training it is again structured. It can be swimming, it can be parade, it can be physical training, PT, in which you do some sorts of gymnastics, etc. Some sort of strengthening up exercises. It can be equestrian. You can do horse riding. So that is between 6 and 8:30. After that, you have a quick breakfast and then rush off to class. After class, you have an organized activity at the squadron
Okay.
level. So we have games, cross country, boxing, etc. So all these are inter-squadron competitions for which the whole squadron as a complete entity trains. So
Good.
and thereafter we have a brief study period from 6 in the evening to 8:30 at night, and thereafter dinner, and then we go off to sleep. So going off to sleep is optional.
No, but
So in all, there is a lot of physical activity. So that physical activity drains you out as an
I
individual.
see.
You would not want to keep awake during class. You would not want to sit up and study or concentrate on differential calculus.
But I guess, I mean, the stream is different, right? Unlike, let's say, computer engineers or HR professionals, yeah, the work that all of you will do will be more demanding physically. And I think that is the right kind of training ground, what you all go through. But what is so interesting is so diverse.
Same. Somebody who's studying computer science in outside and somebody who's doing computer science at NDA is almost same. Yeah. But what is different is where he will be applying whatever he
Okay.
has studied. Person from the civilian academy will be sitting in an AC environment. He will be doing it between 9 to 5 or whatever his shift hours are. But somebody in the armed forces would be doing it in a tent under the blazing 45-degree sun or an
Yeah.
equally torrid night, and probably he may be awake since 72
Yeah,
hours.
very true. Yeah,
So that
and
kind of thing.
that's where the difference lies. And I'll come to that part in some time.
And that is why there is a emphasis on
Training,
physical
yeah.
training.
But I was just talking about the diversity of it, Tricks, because while you are learning the academic part of it, but you like you mentioned, you have the option of learning horse riding, or sometimes it's compulsory one foreign language. All this is part of your course, so that later on in life you never know how situations will come. So yes, learning a foreign language I think is a great thing, and you took up Arabic. So how was those experiences of learning foreign language, horse riding, apart from your normal studies?
So I was exposed only to book studies,
Great.
bookish studies, cramming up the book and producing it in the exam. And whatever games we played, it was after
Okay.
school. So if you remember those
Yes, yes,
fun
yes,
days.
yes. Absolutely.
So that was my only exposure. But when I reached NDA, the games were to another level. Like first of all the physical activity. We never spent any time walking. Every time it was on the double, on the sprint throughout the day, from waking up till
Mm.
sleeping. And our games were
Mm.
equally fast paced. Like the school basketball games were no match for the basketball games that we used to play. Well, just sprinting up and down, sprinting up and down. Even if the ball is not in your hand, you just sprint.
True,
So
very true.
that
Very
was
different things.
very difficult. And there were activities like swimming and equestrian that was not exposed to. I did not know swimming. I was a dead sinker. I sank like a stone at the shallow end of the swimming pool. So picking all these new skills up was a challenge.
But
It takes some effort. This is where people's mental capacity breaks down. Like they say that enough is enough and
it's tough. I
we need
think
to
it's
go.
tough because if you compare to a regular graduation, well, I don't want to say that others are easy. You know, the varied activity, physical, intellectual, all combined together is really tough. So great. I think hats off. That's the reason why you guys do so well later in life. And I'll come to those instances how this training helped you in the real life situations. But I wanted to pick this point up. The first time you were flying the MiG 21 tricks, how did you feel when you took that? Solo at one point in time you had to fly solo, maybe the first time. Did you get fear? How was the feeling of your first time flying the MiG alone? It must be very memorable.
So flying the MiG or flying the glider, the unpowered glider, it is all the same. So flying training everywhere normally follows a similar pattern. The first sortie is called a
Joyride.
joyride. So yes, a joyride. So it is also called an air experience. Like you experience the
Okay.
medium of
Yeah.
air basically. So there were some books which helped in training. They said, just enjoy this sortie. This is the only time that you will get to enjoy your flight. That was the joyride. It really was a joy. So the first
Okay.
sortie is like that. Then second sortie onwards, the effects of controls are demonstrated when you turn the stick left, the aircraft banks to the left, etc. All those effect of controls are demonstrated. You also get to do a little bit, and you are
Wow.
sweating like anything. And apart from those fun things, there are a lot of checks that you are supposed to perform. You go via
Okay.
the checklist to start up the aircraft. There is a long
Okay.
checklist which you have to, in the armed forces, you have to rattle it out of your memory. So you tend to forget, you tend to mix up things, and yeah, so that is the difficult part. So gradually we
Mm.
get to fly, and Indian Air Force was one of the few armed forces which advocated a solo flying in the 11th sortie. 11th sortie used to be
Okay.
solo, whether it was a propeller trainer, whether it was a jet trainer, whether it was
Okay.
MiG-21. So 11th sortie we have all gone solo, and before that, we have seen the effect of controls. We have seen basic aerobatics also, and then we go to first solo. So during that first solo, it is an exhilarating feeling because you are calling out checks to nobody. You're just calling out checks to yourself, and you look in the seat next to you or
So
seat behind you. There is no one. There's just a bare seat which has got strapped up. So, or in case of the MiG-21, like
that's
it
it.
is a single seater. So that is
But
you are all
yeah.
to yourself.
But yeah,
You are all to yourself, fully
thanks.
responsible.
That's nice to know because yeah, I've heard of these sortie terms and all, but the 11th sortie being a solo was something interesting to know. So yes, like, all of us have grown our generation seeing Tom Cruise in, and so Tom Cruise is flying. Yes, Top Gun is so much of memory. So did you have any Top Gun moments? Did you feel the urge of doing some Top Gun moments? Did you all? Can you share something?
All of us, all of us had our
Wow.
Top Gun moments, and it all began with donning those aviator
Wow.
sunglasses,
Yes. Yes.
Ray-Ban.
Became famous.
So whether it was a
Yeah.
whether it was a small march from the servicing section to where you
Okay.
signed for the aircraft
Wow.
to the aircraft, that small walk of 100 meters, 150 meters, they would don a Ray-Ban.
Wow. That's great.
And and when we would wear the
Yeah.
flying helmet, and because it has
Yeah.
its own visors and all, you have to take
Plus.
off your sunglasses and keep it in your pocket.
Wow.
And at the end of the sortie, it's
Other.
the other way. Take off your helmet,
Yeah.
fetch your sunglasses, put it on, and walk down
Wow.
from the aircraft to back to the standing range.
Great. I think so much we can relate to, sitting and watching it in big screen is one thing, but doing it in real life, I don't think any.
But actually, fighter pilots do behave
Yes.
exactly that way. Uh, a recent Bollywood movie that has brought it out is
Okay.
Fighter.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You've seen it, the movie called Fighter, which has Hrithik Roshan, Deepika Padukone, etc. So the attitude of a fighter pilot is very nicely
Very
captured in
nice.
that movie.
I'll rewatch it maybe today evening, just that you mentioned it. But so as Maverick was the nickname of Tom Cruise, it was Trix your name. That's the connection. And does everybody have to have a pseudonym like that?
Okay, Maverick was a call
Okay.
sign. It was the call sign. So I have had
Yeah.
different call signs. My favorite ones were Janus. Janus is Janus, the two-faced god. One Janus, the one who looked forward, and the one with
Oh,
two
okay.
faces, like
Nice.
one looking forward, one looking behind.
Okay.
Basically, I used to be in the habit of looking out for my number two. So I
Wow.
chose Janus.
Very nice.
Then the other one was
Pelican.
Pelican because because the squadron was something called Eagles,
Okay.
something Eagles. So our boss, the CEO, had his call
Okay.
sign as Eagle, and the rest of us had to choose other birds. So mine
Wow.
was Pelican. So
All signs.
those were my call signs, a few of my call signs. But uh, Trix is a derivative from
Okay.
my surname. Like
Okay.
Tripathi would
Trips. Oh,
become Trips.
okay.
Like Mishra would
Nishi.
become Mishi. that way. Upadhyay would become Upi. Why? Because you have to call that out on RT. If you are passing an instruction to your number two, say a hard right. If you say a hard right, it involves a very hard turn towards the right. So if you just say hard right, a lot of people will be
Mm,
doing hard right. Anybody who is hearing the RT will do
correct.
that hard right. So you say Uppi
Okay.
hard right. The
Will
person called
the
Uppi
hard right.
will do a hard. Yes, yes. Now instead of that, imagine saying Upalya hard right. That takes a
Space
lot of
time.
space. That reduces your
Correct.
reaction time.
Correct.
Yes. So when you start counting time in microseconds, then every second counts, and that's
That's
why
right.
it
That's
tricks.
a great story. That's a great story, Tricks. And this notion of call names and why the importance. I think you kind of nailed it that when you're dealing in microseconds, then you'll know the difference at speeds of that much, how much a second makes a lot of difference. Right. Great. So I just want to take a small detour from your flying days of MiG-21, and then you went into helicopter flying. And that's a very different experience, isn't it? Because it may not be speed, but it's the extremities of where the terrain is that you have gone through it. Can you just share something about that, how that transition happened and what extremities you had to go through?
So the natural progression of a flyer is to remain on the aircraft that he has been commissioned into. Like if somebody is a fighter pilot, then he continues to remain a fighter pilot till the end of his
Mhm.
career. What had happened in my case, I had a medical situation because of which I had to change over from fighters to
Okay.
helicopter. So I did that switch. I trained back all over once again on helicopters and served on different helicopter units. So one primary difference between the two is that a fixed wing aircraft follows aerodynamics, follows the principles of flight. If it is trimmed to a condition of climbing, then it will continue to climb unless you disturb it. But a helicopter, on the other hand, does not follow aerodynamics, and it does not want to fly. So you have to be hands-on.
Mm.
In the single engine aircraft that I used to fly, the single engine helicopter, between the pilot and the co-pilot, one of them would always have to be hands-on the control.
Okay.
If if a map has to be referred to, or if the GPS is to be fiddled with, or if something is spoken to the casualty or to the passenger, the other pilot will do it. But this person will be
Okay.
on hands-on on the controls, because if you leave the controls, that helicopter will drop out of the sky in seconds. So that was one primary difference between the fixed wing flying and the rotary wing flying. Second thing is in fixed wing flying, we used to consider altitude as the savior. You accidents would happen
Okay.
close to the ground during takeoff, during landing, coming in for a landing, etc. Or you have lost situational awareness and you do a controlled flight
Mm.
into terrain. So it happens when you come
Okay.
closer to the ground. So the safe thing would be to just pull up
Yeah.
and
Okay.
go. So yeah, like say for example, one dangerous flying that we used to do in fighters is low level flying to evade enemy radar. You hug the ground and you fly. So at 900 kmph, that is too much of speed close to the ground. So just in case your engine fails, then what you're supposed to do is you need to
Okay.
pitch up. Whatever momentum is available, you pitch up. And you use the dying momentum to gain height. And at that gained height, you eject. So there is adequate separation from the ground and adequate warning for the parachute to
Mhm.
open. And you come down. In helicopters, you are invariably close to the ground all the
Mm.
time. So you may be flying the entire day you will be
Mm.
close to the ground. Third difference is in fighters you can eject, you can leave a distressed aircraft. In helicopters, you have to go down with that. There's a procedure to go down with that aircraft, to bring down that aircraft safely. We are all trained for it. But you stick with the aircraft and you bring it down and then you can locate the aircraft. So these are a few
No,
differences.
that's a
Firstly,
that's a
that
very
the helicopter does not
yeah.
want to fly. Secondly, that altitude is not always available for increasing your reaction time. And thirdly, that you have to come down along with the
Yeah.
distressed aircraft. So these are the primary differences. So we had to
Mm.
learn all of this and relearn all of this. I had to relearn all of that. And we used to cater for it in flight, like crossing a river, for example. You always used to be between force landing distance
Okay.
from the man.
Okay. And that's what I was coming to, because for someone who is in the armed forces, I mean, their career trajectory, if it is a straight line, they would have started as a flyer and ended as a flyer. But for you to move from flying fighter planes to moving into helicopters, there was so much of unlearning, and you rightly said it, and then the relearning part of it. So, I mean, different
Yes.
parts of your mental faculties have to be ignited or reignited. Like you rightly said, right, at that speed, precision, time, how fast you react. Whereas here, so I read about your stories where you were most of the times deputed at Siachen, and you spent a lot of hours, not recalling the number of hours, but quite a lot of hours in Siachen. Describe that, because that would be all
More
more
than a
than a
thousand flying
thousand
hours.
flying hours in Siachen. And what's the temperature there? Minus 30, 20, uh, around.
The operating base, the operating base goes down to -30, and at the altitudes that we used to land, sometimes it used to be -50,
Just
-85.
describe that, because tricks normally we can't imagine like in minus degrees to I mean, we can't even think of, okay, it might be a tourist destination we go, but even minus 20, minus 30 is unheard of. Your work environment was minus 30 degrees centigrade. And just tell us about that one.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just tell you fun fact or two. For Siachen flying, the nearest runway, the nearest civil airport, the nearest permanent Air Force base is at Leh. So you get all these
Mhm.
airlines, jumbo jets, and Airbuses landing at
Mhm.
Leh, which is a military airport. At that airport, minimum temperatures during winters used to go down to minus
At
25.
Leh in the airport, that's minus
Yes,
25.
yes. So generally it used to be -20 or so, but during severe spells of winter, it used to go down to
Wow.
-25. Now imagine what happens to
Yeah.
running water. The freezing point of water is 0 degrees centigrade. Imagine running water. Yes, yes, we used to have running water.
How did you manage that?
So we used to, oh, technology. We used to beat the elements with technology and innovation. The idea is to heat up the water to get
Yes.
it flowing. So we used to have a centrally heated pump. It used to
Hmm.
be centrally heated. And at a given time, it used to just pump out water everywhere at full blast at very high pressure so that it doesn't slow down and
Hmm.
doesn't freeze. So, in fact, our pipelines at our end in the rooms that we stayed did not have faucets, did not have taps because that would
Okay.
restrict flow. It used to be purely open. So we used to have those 20 liters, 50 liters drums and all. And we used to accumulate warm water whenever it used to come. So high pressure, high temperature water used to be pumped. It used to come. You do your ablutions in a record time and even have a bath every day. You used to have a bath
And
every
the
day.
water for bath
Despite
also used to
that
come like
temperature.
that. I mean, the moment it comes out, you have like a
Yeah,
30-second.
yeah. That was all the water that we got. Yeah. So that was a place that we learned to have hot beer.
But in a
We used to
minus
have
40 degrees
hot
centigrade, hot beer
whiskey with
is
hot water.
necessary. Otherwise, chilled beer. But super. I mean, that's great. Wow. And operating over there.
Yes. So those were the challenges. Like inside the cockpit, we used to have these
Mm.
heating systems, but obviously it wasn't designed for use at that altitude, at that temperature. So our heating systems were nominal. They used to use their effect. So whenever you were facing the sun or something, then because of the greenhouse effect, the cockpit would heat up. The moment you turn away from the sun, it was as bad. So we used to have a lot of layers of clothing on,
The
and there was
what about? I mean, that is extreme. What about the fuel? Because I drove once to Bhutan, and the at 0 degree the car wasn't starting because the engine oil was freezing. What about how did the helicopters operate? I mean, fuel also has a it's a liquid, right? My basic physics says it
yes,
should freeze.
has a point. It has a freezing point. Let me get back to another fun fact. The commode that we had in our room, so that has water at the base,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
The Western commode. So
Yeah.
it would freeze as would static water anyway. So we used to mix it with kerosene.
Mm-hmm.
Kerosene has a freezing point of -28 degrees.
Much lower than water. Much lower than water.
Yes, yes, -28 degrees. So it used to keep it fluid. So that is how our commodes were
But it used
available.
to smell of kerosene. But at least it is liquid.
Yes. Yes. So that was how we used to manage. And because of the low freezing point
Hmm.
of kerosene, the fuel in the
Oh,
aircraft would
they also used to remain liquid.
remain in fluid state. Yes, and plus it used to get churned with the
Okay.
fuel pump, etc.
But that fuel is not the normal fuel
Really,
which is used in like normal aircrafts or just in.
it's a finely cut
Okay.
kerosene. It's more further refined than kerosene. It is called aviation
Okay.
turbine fuel, ATF. But yes, it is a
But it
finely cut.
must be having, sorry, it must be having, I mean, while minus 28, but you were flying into minus 40s also sometimes. So maybe the temperature is much, much more
Yes,
to compensate for that much of difference. Okay.
yes.
Wow. I mean, just going to work is adventure.
Flo-
Yeah.
flowing water, flowing water does not solidify into ice, does not freeze. So river water is less likely to freeze. So at the center of the river, where the
Mm,
water is flowing, you'll see the river water
liquid.
is like in melted state. But at the sides, where it touches the shores and it tends to slow down, that is more likely to. So freezing river, half frozen river, will be
Right.
frozen at the banks, but at the center where the flow is there, it will be
So your
melted.
adventure was even normally going and staying at work was adventure, but you still did more. You were there in a lot of the Uri attack relief, then the Leh attack, the relief, Uttarakhand relief. So doing this relief work was very different from probably doing flying into the enemy zones. So it must have been giving you a lot of, I mean, inner peace, and it's a very good feeling when you're doing some relief work at tragic areas, isn't it?
Yes. At the places of huge national tragedy, and it's a big relief to see another person who's
Mm.
trying to help. Literally, the sound of
Uh,
our helicopters used to be welcome. It used to bring peace to the uh, residents in the area, whichever areas that we went to. Like, for example, that Uri earthquake, we had Uri earthquake in 2005. So the epicenter was somewhere in
okay.
Pakistan, but closer to our LOC at Uri, the devastation was quite a lot. So I remember our sorting, we used to operate from
Okay.
Srinagar. So I remember our first task for the day was to ferry the doctor from Srinagar, place him at that forward helipad at Uri, and at the end of the day,
Okay.
bring him back. So that used to be a task.
But the
Very important.
scene would be quite
And why was
devastating,
that,
right?
you may ask? Yes,
Tricks. It was
yes,
quite devastating to see.
yes, yes.
Must be bad, but
Yes, it used to be. It used to be. And why the requirement was there? Because there used to be a medical officer in that region, a civil doctor posted there as a medical officer. And the moment the
hmm,
earthquake hit, he used to live in the second floor, the like first floor,
first
sorry,
floor.
ground floor and the first floor. So he used to stay at the first floor. So the moment the earthquake hit, to save his life, he jumped from the first floor and broke his leg. So the doctor was indisposed. So every day we used to have a task of bringing the Air Force
Okay,
doctor
okay,
from
okay.
Srinagar to the forward
So much
helipad
of
at
so many
Uri.
different adventures. I mean, the adventure within an adventure. That's great. So great. I think. I mean, I can discuss so much more about your experiences, but I'll just slightly divert to a different side of flying. What's the scenario? I mean, most of these, I mean, lately we hear a lot of disasters on flights, makes helicopters. I mean, not so many, but still, I wanted to check with you, like, how is India equipped? I think the Tejas is a good aircraft that HL, I know I'm in Bangalore, they're making. HL also makes some helicopters in India. Are we there or the Russian? What's the state as per your knowledge of our current force planes?
Yeah, yeah. I'll take you back to our days of satellite launch.
Mm.
Because like we have all seen these famous photographs of rockets being carried on the bicycle to the launch pad. So that is how India's space programs began. And our first satellite was
Mm.
the Aryabhatta, which had a payload of just 60
Mm.
kilos. And these days we are launching, I don't know, more than
Yeah.
100 payloads per mission. So we have moved quite a lot. And in the space arena, we are considered big players because nobody has made it to Mars in their
Mm.
first attempt. We did, and nobody has landed as south as us on the moon. We have done it. So those are our success story. But yes, we have had humble beginnings. So similarly, in the field of aviation, we have had
Mm.
humble beginnings. Yes, we had trainers like HT2, it was called, it was again manufactured in India. It was a biplane. Then we moved on to HPT 32, which is manufactured in India, and
Mm.
YHL, and it was a piston engine. It has got phased out. Now we are training on the pilots because we can afford to buy the best from other
Mhm.
countries. So we are flying the pilots for pilot training. Similarly, we had manufactured a fighter also. HL had manufactured a fighter called HF-24, purely indigenous. That was the first fighter. And it used to accelerate slowly, it used to decelerate slowly, a lot of glitches, and
Mm.
not so effective in combat,
Mm.
etc. From that time, we have come to the
Mm.
LCA. And by the time we reached the LCA, we manufactured the ALH,
Okay.
which is a success story. It is being used extensively by the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force, as well as certain civilian agencies. We have exported a few ALHs, and we are moving on to more advanced light helicopter, the advanced light helicopter. Yeah, yes. So that we have exported to other countries also, and we are on to better platforms of the derived from that
Okay.
experience. So we have something called a WSH, weaponized platform,
Great.
etc. And the LC, yes, we have been hit with sanction a lot in the past. Finding an engine for that was a problem, but we have certain contracts now, and hopefully move from LSS, sorry, LCA Mark 1, which has been inducted to the Mark 1A, which is a nice
Okay.
version, to Mark 2, etc. And hopefully we will be able to meet our plane
I think
requirements
it's a
in
good
the LCA.
beginning because I, like you said, humble beginnings, but we have moved quite fast in multiple areas. I'm sure we will have a Elon Musk moment, if not a single person, but maybe it will be an agency or a private organization which will come up with that. But great, thanks so much, Trix. I want to move a little bit to your post. I mean, so-called retirement, but I wouldn't call it retirement. And for the benefit of viewers, I'm saying that because Trix has, I think in 2023, moved, you took your retirement. But since then, from flying to helicopters, he's taken the fastest thing on road, or I would say the most durable. It can be speed, it can be adventure. He's gotten into biking. And for people who would want to know, Trix has covered more than nearly 200,000 kilometers, 1 lakh 80 or 70 kilometers. And every time I hear him that I'm in Delhi, I'm just reaching Bangalore in one day. Or sometimes when I call him, he'll say that, oh, I just came from Tibet, or I don't know, from Arunachal, from Ran of Kutch. In the last few years, Trix, you've been exploring India like nothing on your bike. What brought you that? What was the reason for that? This entire movement away from flying to grounded on the road, but the distances you covered are absurd.
So one of the factors was probably okay. So what happens is two-wheelers are looked down upon by any Indian parent, if you will understand. Like they will advise their
True.
children not to take up fast bikes or to ride bikes slowly, etc., or not to ride bikes at all. Buy a
Mhm.
car, they will say. So similar had been the attitude in my previous organization. In the Air Force, fighter pilots, Top Gun, this that, they would speed up on ground also and run into a draw or into a static truck, etc. It was looked down upon. It was not
Uh,
encouraged. Two-wheelers were
True.
not encouraged. So throughout my flying career, I had to switch over from I used to have my father's SD in my younger days, a 250cc SD in my younger days when I was just commissioned. But by the time I got married, I had moved
Okay.
on to cars. And cars but after I finished my flying, the desire to come back to two wheels had started. And that is typically around the period where everybody hits midlife crisis, 44, 45. So biking was the answer to my midlife crisis, and that's how I took up the
Oh, great.
motorcycle.
So, since you mentioned, I think a lot of bikers who do long distance, for them it's some kind of freedom or some kind of peace. So, which one was that for you? Was it freedom or that search for peace, the long distances that you've been covering by road?
Yeah. So freedom is the ability to do anything, but it comes with a lot of
True.
responsibility. Oh, like something like they say, the eternal vigilance is the price of
Yeah.
liberty and all that. So freedom comes at the cost of eternal vigilance. So that's how you pay the price of freedom. So to enjoy your freedom on the road, you have to be very wary of other
True.
users on the road, pedestrians, stray animals, etc., etc. So you have to be very wary of. Then you will be enjoying freedom truly. And peace is a state of the mind. Times of chaos, we have had peace. So
Actually, for you, peace, I think you have found peace in the highs and the lows of your flying career. And I don't mean the emotional highs and lows. I meant the physical highs and lows. And hence, I think peace is not something which you would you would have got a lot of peace when you were in those moments. But definitely the freedom comes at a price. That's very, very true. But tell me, Trix, I mean, it's not a normal biking because it's just not that people take the weekends off and max to max, they do 200 kilometers, 500 kilometers. But you've been extreme in the sense you just take off from Delhi to Bangalore, which is easily 2000 kilometers, or, various other places that you have been. I mean, did it just come naturally aligned with the machine? Because you are a person who seems to be very
no,
different. Yeah.
it did not come naturally. It did not come naturally. I had to take baby steps into it. So when I resumed my motorcycling, I wanted to take a good motorcycle. I wanted to take up a good motorcycle, something that I would be proud of, something would stand me right up to my old
Mhm.
age that time. So I had decided on the
Yeah.
Royal Enfield
Mm.
350. But then I met a friend somewhere uh, at Coimbatore, to be precise, friend from my
Okay.
previous flying unit. Both of us were
Mm.
out of flying. He had called me to his house. So he used to be very fond of cars. At that time, when I used to have a Maruti Zen, a hatchback, he used to have a
No.
Jetta. So he took me in his car. I was overawed, and he used to stay outside in an apartment. So we parked in the basement. I got out of his car, and there was a 1700
Wow.
cc motorcycle,
Wow.
Triumph Thunderbird, parked right next. I couldn't help myself. I said, "Sir, look, somebody is living up his life." Yeah, that somebody is me. So, so suddenly my budget jumped 700% and I was into Triumph. I wanted a Triumph for myself. That's how I ended up buying the Triumph
Mm.
Speedmaster, 1200 cc, but yes, a Speedmaster. So I could not
Mm.
handle it properly. So on Sundays, I used to venture out and practice my handling a motorcycle. So that is how gradually I obtained the skill of handling. And after that, it was about endurance. Suddenly found that I was super comfortable, very relaxed in my seating ergonomics. So I started doing a small distance, 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers. Then I suddenly decided 1200 is okay.
Mm.
I'll do it.
Good.
So that's how I got into long distance riding. But there's this popular saying in biking, you carry your luggage, but leave your
Wow.
baggage.
That. It's
On the bike, you have to make space for luggage. Like it can be a camera, it can be a mobile, it can be a power bank, or it can be a small snack. You carry that luggage, but you leave all emotional
super.
baggage behind. So I think that is how you get
Yes.
your peace. All bikers enjoy that. So there are different kinds of bikers. Some who dash traffic light to traffic light, but they are finding their peace. That's also okay. Some do place A to place B, like me, long
Mm.
distance touring. That is also okay. They also
Mm.
find peace. Some burn the rubber on
True.
tracks, high speed, on the Buddh circuit, where we don't have
Mm.
F1 anymore. They burn their rubbers out there. So they take their motorcycles on trailers, park it there, and don their suit and just
Computer.
do F1, MotoGP style biking. So that is also one. There's the fourth kind of biker, like the recent ones, if I can name Anam Sheikh, Sanobar Pardiwari. So these people are stunt
Start
women
pulling. Okay.
of India. Like yes, on a
Yeah.
Doom 2 and all stunts have been done
Oh
by
yeah.
Sanobar. So
Yes. Yes.
stunt riding is picking up in India. So picking up a wheel,
Mm.
the front wheel,
True.
doing a wheelie, or picking up the rear wheel, which is called a stocking. People are into it, and they also find
True.
their peace. For you, it'll bring you butterflies. For the onlooker, it brings butterflies, but they are at peace.
Very true. That one was.
That is how
Yes,
everybody looks for
and that
peace.
one definitely landed amongst many of us, that carry your luggage but leave your baggage. That holds good in so many different things, but motorcycling kind of just nails that quote. So great tricks. I think didn't realize it's been like nearly an hour that we've been talking, but I have last few questions which I want to talk to you about. So one is on people who are starting their careers. You have, I mean, typically armed forces is one career stream, right? And many people look at the corporate world. You choose the armed forces, and I'm sure you're very happy about it. So I mean, any small inputs from your side for people who want to choose armed forces as their career? I mean, apart from the duty to the nation, I mean, there's so much more in it. What are the one or two things you would say that if you have to choose a career in the armed forces, you should be aware of, or some skills which are required? So you can touch upon that.
Yes, I would like to very much help people find their purpose in life because for a brief period in life, even I too faced that problem. I did not have a purpose. So the easiest that was available to me, I used to keep going to the
Mm.
church. So the Catholic priest was there in front of me. He used to perform
Mm.
every Sunday. So he became kind of my idol. Probably briefly, I chose that as the
Mm.
purpose of my life. Then I saw something else. I was more fascinated by them, what they were doing, and probably that became the purpose
Mm.
of my life. So finding purpose in life is important. Everybody has a purpose in life. That is what we will all answer to either to Saint Peter or to
Mm.
Yamraj, and it is very very important. For that again, I'll go back to my analogy of the hardware and software. So life may throw any software at you, but from your part, your hardware should be ready to run any
True.
software. So as a person, you have to live in the present. You have to forget, keep forgetting the past. You may have been a fighter pilot in the past, relearn how to become a helicopter pilot. You may have been a pilot in the past, you have to relearn how to shoot down a pilot.
Mm.
That is, I'm drawing analogies
True.
from my life. You had been getting salutes everywhere. You have to leave that life behind. Now come back to the civilian world, re-establish yourself in that civilian world. So you have to redefine your purpose in life time to time. I had that chance numerous times in my career. Medically down, I did not have an option about it. I was forced to change my I had a mid-career transition from fighters onto
Very true.
helicopters. Then again a mid-career transition onto missiles. Again from missiles onto staff duties at command headquarters, etc. So there had been many career changes. From that now onto a biker, but I use my knowledge from both the fields. For example, just to get things right once again, in helicopters we used to follow one routine. Their flights are 2 hours long. So because you are sitting in a glass cockpit, there is a greenhouse effect. So you get dehydrated very fast. So you keep drinking water. So at the takeoff point, you must have had water. But at the landing point, you just want to let go of your offload. So we used to run and we used to follow two principles. Okay, it used to be a helipad. We used to be doing it in the field or in adjacent open land. So there used to be two principles that we used to follow. Never pee upwind. Second principle, never pee upslope,
Okay.
because then it flows back to you. Otherwise, you would endanger peeing on your shoes. So now when I take a susu break on my motorcycle, I follow the same principles. I do not pee upwind. I do not pee upslope. So that way, what I wanted to say was basically you keep gathering information, you keep storing information. You don't know when it will come handy. Your knowledge of geography will come in handy. Fortunately, I had a career in which I used my high school education extensively. Like for example, I'll just quote a few examples. Like geography, for example, the knowledge of the atmosphere. Like if you remember, we used to study the types of clouds: cumulus clouds, cirrus clouds, stratus cloud, nimbus cloud. I have
Very
used that
true.
extensively. Okay, the knowledge of the
Mm.
atmosphere, etc. Then
Yeah.
physics, for example. In high school physics, there was something we called relative density. You remember
Yes.
specific gravity, relative density. I had never imagined in my life that I would be using it every day. How? because the fuel that we used to top up in our helicopters would vary as per the mission. Sometimes 300 liters, sometimes 400 liters, sometimes 500 liters extra. So you had to know the weight of the fuel that you're
Mm.
carrying so that you can calculate the useful weight that can be carried in the helicopter end of the day. So to convert that liters of fuel into kgs of weight, you had to apply
Wow.
relative density in between, the factor of specific gravity. So I never imagined that I would be
Mm.
using physics so much. Biology, the knowledge of the inner ear, the
Wow.
otolith organs, the hammer, the cochlea, the anvil, etc. So all that we used to study. Chemistry, for example, like propellants, warheads, nitrocellulose, nitroglycerine, etc. So all that knowledge helped me understand propellants and warheads better. Maths, we used to use it regularly. Even the basic operations like addition and subtraction. Like, say, I'll give you a small example. If you are going eastwards, you are going 090 on the compass, right? You're steering 090, going eastwards. If you have to turn back the other way, you have to turn 180 degrees. Yeah. So 090 becomes 270 the
Mm.
other way, right? So you have to perform that operation very
Mm.
quickly. So we had shortcuts like plus 200 minus 20. So 090 plus 200,
Mm.
290 minus 20, 270. So plus 200 minus 20. Or the other way, minus 200 plus 20. So suppose you are steering a heading of 040. You have to turn around. ATC says no, turn around. So you have to turn the other way,
Plus
180 degree
200.
off. So 040 plus 200 40 minus 20, 220. So 220 is what
Wow.
you have to steer. So you have to all the time keep working on these
Yeah.
mathematical operators. Like simple, okay, like English. English is so important. It's the basic language for communication in the air on
Mm.
radio telephone. So I'll narrate one incident. One day the ATC got a call from a training officer, helicopter in the cockpit. Imagine the panic of that ATC officer, and helicopters are airborne at that from that airfield. The trainee officers are flying in fixed wing, and somebody gives a call, helicopter in the cockpit. So what does he mean? Like they ran in the air? What? So he asks again, come again? He says, helicopter in the cockpit. Then he says, are you all right? He says, yeah. Is the aeroplane all right? Yes. So finally they land. They all discuss. I did he give that call? There was a dragonfly inside that cockpit.
Helicopter.
As children, we used to tie
I
up
don't
those
believe it. Seriously.
string to that tail of the dragonfly, and the dragonfly used to fly, and it used to resemble a helicopter. Somebody called it a helicopter. This person who comes from interior hinterland of India, he understood that this being is called a helicopter. So that is the call that he gave. Helicopter in the cockpit. So even English language is so
You
important.
seriously made it so
So
serious. I mean, I get it. What you are saying is in all fields of occupations, I think fundamental education is
yes,
very, very important. But when you are
yes,
at a high stake kind of a game, you can't get into complications. It's the simple things which has so much of significance, right? I mean, this kind of things, because that's what you can mentally see, mentally hear, and mentally feel. I mean, those very basics have become so critical. And we wouldn't have imagined it
yes,
also when we were studying and looking at our school teachers and thinking that 15 years then how important these things will be there. So I think the message clearly tricks is that to people is that one is be very clear with your fundamentals, take it very, very seriously. You never know how this is going to work out. One more related question. This is to your biking passion, if I can call it. Of course, today you are doing it with lot more seriousness, and with lot more seriousness is the apt word, for lack of any other word. So, do you think that many professionals today in the corporate world, I know you've been from a different world, but they feel stuck after 15, 16 years of work? Because in your case, you pursued something consciously. So your entire career in the armed forces was a decision that you pursued, right? Good, bad, tough, it was yours. But many people in the corporate, they take up careers which they're not very sure they do it, and mid-life crisis from a career standpoint, do you advocate that at that point in time pursuing a passion will give some wholesome meaning to your life, because you are pursuing a passion? Of course, in the armed forces you retire earlier, but in the corporate world also people can take that after a particular point in time, but pursuing a passion itself is very, very important and makes you feel complete many times when you're confused. Would you share some thoughts on that?
Like in India, biking may not work out as a career. If it is your passion, it will be your hobby. That is what most people do. It's a leisure activity. So they burn the tracks or they take a vacation and go biking, etc. Or for that matter, the latest culture is to have breakfast on Sunday. So a group of people get together and they zoom to the some highway, some dhaba, have breakfast and come back. So that is what most people do. Unless, of course, you can combine. I have met bikers, somebody who has been a light DJ. Light DJ meaning somebody who works with the lights on sound and
Okay.
lights shows, sound and light shows or on concerts,
Mm.
till gigs, etc. So he's a light DJ. So he picks up his 1200cc bike and he goes to. I met him at the Zero Festival of Music, by the way. So that. Then I met a dentist struggling between Bangalore and Hyderabad on his bike. Things like
And
that.
that's exactly what I was trying to say.
In
You,
India,
when
it'll have to
work
be.
is stressful and all, you take out something, a lot of your stress through your passions, and biking can be one of those serious hobbies which will bring that completeness in your life. Otherwise, you really just stuck in a 9 to 6 job.
Yes, the one thing about biking, I will say, it can take away your life. So it is as dangerous as the
Okay.
skies, as dangerous as flying. Biking can take away your life. There are numerous examples where people have not been able to handle their motorcycles, and it has slipped out of their control, or they have rammed into somebody else because of somebody else's mistake, albeit so. But
But be careful with your passion, basically.
you have to be defensive. You have to be careful, very careful. So for that, you have to learn the techniques of biking. Like when going from Bangalore to Leh, some people shift their bikes by truck to Chandigarh or Delhi, and then they start riding. But I would not do it that way. I would still ride all the way from here
True.
to Leh. That is, I get to practice
True.
all my techniques, like counter steering, like leaning, so braking, types of braking, engine braking, trail braking, etc. So I get to practice all of these maneuvers. So that is what I say. If you take up biking, you have to go all in. You have to learn more nuances. It is not just about popping up the wheel
True.
and doing a wheelie. It is also an obstacle clearance
True.
mechanism. So you have to learn how to use it, when to use the front brake, when to use the rear brake, etc. And apply it to yourself so that you are safe while you're pursuing this hobby,
Very true.
biking.
Tricks, very true. And so interesting talking to you about so many things: man, machine, career, profession. I think we could continue
Yeah.
more, but just the lack of time. So I'll come to the last section, Tricks. I have one section called as a rapid fire section. Not very serious ones, but I'll ask a few questions, try
Okay.
to answer them quickly. So here goes your rapid fire
Okay.
question.
Yeah.
So you have seen the world from the MiG 21 seat at 30,000 feet and from a bike seat at sea level. Which view do you really love and why? What makes you feel more alive?
The MiG 21 then and the bike now. The MiG 21 is not for feeble of heart. It is not for old of age. And there was a time that it used to thrill me. It would have thrilled me more than a two-wheeler then. Yes. And right now, because I cannot be in a MiG 21 cockpit,
Nice one. That's a very
this, this is the
diplomatic
best
one. Okay,
substitute.
second, one item you would never fly without in Siachen, and one item you will never ride without when you are going to your cliffhanger routes.
Okay, this is easy. At Siachen, one item that I would not fly without is a cigarette lighter, a gas lighter, a
But
cigarette
not for
lighter.
smoking.
That is because in case you, not for smoking, if you get into a survival situation, to start a fire to keep yourself warm.
That's deep.
So the cigarette lighter, irrespective of whether you're a smoker or not, we all used to carry
Wow.
Zippos in our
Okay,
pocket.
what about the cliffhanger route?
So that is well. Okay. On bikes, what I would not travel without is my TPMS sensor, my tire pressure
True.
monitoring system sensor.
Very true. You can't miss that. In the middle of the road, if you have a puncture or if you have this, I think that's a lifesaver. Great. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Third question: the roar of a MiG 21 or the thump of a Triumph Bonneville, or whichever bike Triumph you ride.
The roar of a MiG 21 inside the cockpit or
It's
outside.
something really great, right? I mean, do you have to cover your ears?
It's
Just as a
something.
side question. I mean, if you put something to close your
Yes.
This one, I'm sure you do, right? The,
No, inside the cockpit, we have our helmet and earphones and all. Plus, there is that 80 kilos of
okay. Okay.
canopy, so that sort of dampens the noise a little, but you can still hear
But
the road.
outside.
Outside, you have to put professional earmuffs. You get noise
Wow.
cancelling earmuffs. You have to wear that, otherwise you can go deaf, be subjected to tinnitus. There's something called tinnitus, a constant ringing of the ear. So that's the start of deafness.
So is it the fear of flying or what stayed with you or what or the the fear of hitting a cow on the roads?
There has never been a fear of flying. It's always been the
Uh,
thrill of flying, and I guess it is the same thing on the road. It's the
Right.
thrill of
But you have to be
hitting
very
the cow,
careful on the Indian
not the
roads.
cow,
On
not
Indian
the
roads, you
cow.
have to be that extra careful. Great one. And the last one is
Yeah, so hit the road, not the
hit
cow.
the road, not the cow. And the last question, what is still that one place you wish to ride to and then you'll feel mission accomplished?
Yeah. So for that, I need your company. We'll do India to
Wow,
London.
that's a privilege I really look forward to. Thank you so much. You made my day. But Trix, with that, we come to the end of our discussion. I think, listening to you anytime has been a great.
It was nice talking to
Because,
you.
and I'm sure our listeners, once the podcast is out, they'll learn a lot from your experiences, your puns, intended and unintended, and the diversity of your career. So, really, thank you so much. And I'm sure people will know what is the real meaning of adventure in life hearing your stories. So, all the best, Tricks. And thank you very much from our side. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Jai Hind.